foundation where we tend to uplift the future generation of society. We aspire to build a society where no parent is hesitant to send their child to government school, or no youth is ashamed of their government school educational background. And we want to bring a positive change to this already set narrative around government school. And we are working towards it by providing a platform for all students and teachers to share their learning and teaching experience. And we take it to a general public, we take it to a larger public over here. And we all know that, youth contributes to a major part of the society. And they are always the energetic, enthusiastic people out there. And most importantly, they are the future of our nation. They have the power and potential to move a country towards development and growth. And be it any field, be it sports, be it technical, we need the youth over there. We need the youth to contribute. We need the youth to progress. And it is important for us to channelize their zeal and their enthusiasm towards nation building. And we have to make them understand their roles and their actual power. And speaking of this, I would like to thank all the volunteers of Sarkari School, because you guys are contributing to this cause. Everyone in this busy world, everyone is very competitive, and all of you have taken out your time to contribute towards the nation, which is actually great. And I am proud of all of you. Everyone is proud of everyone, and thank you for being here in this event. And I would like to welcome you all. And with this, I would like to welcome our guest for today, Neha Joshi ma'am. Neha Joshi ma'am is a development professional, and right now she is the National Vice President of BJYM. And she's Youth Thinkers Forum. So with her keen interest in designing and politics, she designed a capacity building program for women panchayat representatives. And she was the advisor of Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, where her main focus was on the successful project Ujjwala, through which 60 million women in India, poor women actually, got free gas connection. And she also designed the Pradhan Mantri LPG, I think, one second. Yes, she also designed the Pradhan Mantri LPG Panchayat. She also has a history of working in the post-disaster scenarios, where she co-led the resilient housing reconstruction after the flood in 2013 in Uttarakhand. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am, and I wholeheartedly welcome you to this event. Hello, ma'am. Okay, I think ma'am has lost her connection. Meanwhile, do you guys like to say anything, talk anything regarding this topic? Ria, you're there. Can you please go ahead and tell us something? What is your opinion on this topic?
Huh?
Yes, Ria, you can go ahead.
So obviously, our youth, like, we are the branch of our country, right? And on this youth day, like, we are like our guest Neha ma'am, like, really, when we got to know about the Neha ma'am, it's really impressive. Like, her identity from his dad, now, like, more impressive, like her personal identity, like she made. So that's the more inspirational, and that's the most the courageous thing that we all were excited to meet you, and we were just waiting for the 6:30 and just want to see and like hear of the ma'am, and want to like hear your stories from your own voice. And really, I'm very excited, and not only me, we all are very excited. And under the we all member of Sarkari school, so we initiate this thing that our youth, like, we want to learn, and we want to like just I'm just getting that word, like, we promote the learning thing basically. So we don't promote the simple work thing. We promote the learning thing. We just want, like, each and every volunteer of our organization just learn as much as they can and these things, and we all are here to just listen you, and we want to inspire from you, ma'am, really, and just please.
Yes, definitely, Ria, ma'am. I again welcome you to this event, and we are so proud to have you here. We are so grateful that you took your time to come and talk to us. Guys, can you please mute your mic?
तुम्हारे एक घंटा निकालना इतना मुश्किल थोड़ी है
Please go ahead. Could you tell us something about yourself?
Hi, good evening, Vidya. Namaste, Abhishek, Riya, everyone who's here with me today. First of all, thank you so much for having me with you. I apologize that थोड़ा सा issue रहेगा बीच में अगर मैं disconnect हो जाऊं तो आप थोड़ा सा patient रहना. Actually, my grandmother's in the hospital and I'm in the hospital like lobby and I'm doing my live from here. So phone से कर रही हूँ तो बीच में अगर disconnect हो जाए तो दोबारा connect हो जाएगा. So I'm just really excited to be amongst you all. I've been following.
तेरा टेस्ट आज एक चैप्टर था और कल तेरा 3 चैप्टर था.
Sorry, मुझे सुनाई नहीं दिया किसी ने कुछ बोला. Somebody said something. Vidya, did you say something?
No, ma'am. No, you can go ahead. You can continue.
Okay. So first of all, I've been following सरकारी schools work और अभिषेक का काम मैं follow कर रही हूँ and we all know education में बहुत काम करने की जरूरत है और ये जो काम है ये बहुत fundamental level पर करने की जरूरत है. There's a lot happening at the government level, but a question that I constantly pose to youngsters such as you and even to my peers is that it's so easy to sit back and say that government को ऐसा करना चाहिए या जो policy आई है उसमें कुछ खराबी है. But we as a society, what are we doing? That's a question that I constantly pose to people who I speak to, and I'm glad that people like Abhishek, like you, are taking that question very seriously and doing something. You're stepping up. So I think this is the crucial part, that what am I doing? That's a question that we need to ask ourselves. और जो व्यक्ति ये सवाल अपने आप से पूछेगा वो अपने आप को रोक नहीं पाएगा कुछ करने से. So one thing that I always tell youngsters is that ask yourself this question. Vidya, you asked me to tell a little bit about myself.
Yes, ma'am.
So my name is Neha Joshi and I am from Uttarakhand. My schooling and everything is from Dehradun. I've born and brought up here. Then my undergraduate degree is from Delhi University. I think आप में से कई लोग भी शायद DU से पढ़े हुए हैं. वहाँ से मैंने economics honors की डिग्री ली 2007 में. And उसके बाद I joined a human resource consultancy. That's campus placement मेरा हुआ था. And but very early, within a year of working there, I realized that that's not my calling. Corporate sector was not something for me. But I'm glad I experienced it, and the few things that I learned there have helped me so far in my career. Otherwise, so I value that experience a lot. And उसके बाद मैंने non-profit sector में venture किया. सरकारी school जैसे ही अलग-अलग organizations के साथ पहले volunteer किया, फिर काम किया. And then I got a master's degree in social work. Post that, again, that was from Washington University in St. Louis. I came back to India and my first job was in UP. So I was working across 43 districts in UP. And my job in brief was basically working with self-help groups of women and seeing if we can use these self-help groups as platforms for political empowerment. Because a lot of these members of self-help groups were elected members of Gram Panchayat, they were BDC members, some even Zilla Panchayat members. But, to anyone who's remotely familiar with Uttar Pradesh, a lot of times, even with this 50% representation of women, एक rubber stamp representation होता है कि महिला elect हो जाती है, लेकिन effectively जो काम कर रहे होते हैं वो उसके पति या पिता या ससुर या बेटा, they are the ones who are effectively, sort of in charge. So, my job and my mission was to see if we can use self-help groups as platforms for training these women so they can actually become effective and realize their own capacity. Because एक बार एक व्यक्ति को समझ में आ जाता है ना कि मेरी capacity इतनी है, उसको रोकना बहुत मुश्किल होता है. So it was to have them identify and taste that power that आप elect हो चुके हैं और आपके पास आप में क्षमता है वो सब करने की जो आपका पति या भाई या बेटा कर रहा है. So that was sort of the brief of my job. Post that, I've worked in Uttarakhand in the disaster recovery project. It was a World Bank project जो 2013 में केदारनाथ में बहुत मैसिव फ्लड्स आए थे, सारे देश ने देखा, बहुत सारी जाने गई एंड बहुत सारा नुकसान हुआ. So I worked on rehabilitation and sort of reconstruction after that. My last professional assignment was with the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. I've been very, very fortunate to work on the Ujjwala program. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Ujjwala. Ujjwala is in fact, Ujjwala 2.0 was launched yesterday. So, Ujjwala is the scheme to provide subsidized gas connections to the poorest of poor in the country. Around 8.5 crore gas connections दिए गए हैं पिछले 5 सालों में, और अभी 1 करोड़ का टारगेट और प्रधानमंत्री जी ने दिया है. So this experience has been life changing for me. एक छोटा सा गैस का सिलेंडर कैसे एक परिवार की और खासकर एक महिला की जिंदगी को बदलने की पोटेंशियल रखता है. उज्ज्वला के बारे में जब आप पढ़ेंगे या आप उज्ज्वला के जो बेनिफिशियरीज इंटरैक्ट करेंगे, तब समझ में आता है कि हाउ अ वेरी सिंपल चेंज, अ वेरी सिंपल थिंग इनसाइड योर हाउसहोल्ड can really alter the way your household functions. You have suddenly more time for yourself, you have more time for your children. We constantly push women for economic activities, but she has to have time, right? हम लोग भी पढ़ाई तब कर पाए क्योंकि somebody was putting food on the table. बाहर जाके आप काम तब कर सकते हो जब आपको लगता है कि innately जो आपके instincts होते हैं, you want your children to be well fed, you want your family to be taken care of. So until you have time, all of this seems like ये peripheral चीजें. So once you have the time, then you can think of all of these things and engage in productive activities outside of the household. So Ujjwala opened all of these things for like millions of women, and I was fortunate to be part of this revolution. Politically, I've been active in the BJP for the past 6 years now. In 2016, I was given the first position in the party at the state level. I joined the youth wing of the BJP. And then in 2017, I was lucky enough to be chosen for the national team as the national media co-in-charge. And very recently, my party again has placed a lot of trust in me and made me the national vice president of the youth wing of BJP, BJYM. So this is sort of a snapshot of my journey so far. And I feel once you ask more questions, more things are going to come out. But introduction ko I think itna hi brief rakhna chahiye.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. That was a lot. And I think all of them present over here are already looking up to you. You have inspired me in this, fraction of 5 minutes. Okay, so can we begin the session? Are you comfortable?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Okay. So, when we start any session, we should start with the topic itself, right? So I want to ask you, what are your views on nation building? What is the actual essence of nation building?
So I feel like, sometimes when we start to describe nation building, हम बहुत complicated तरीके से उसको देखने लगते हैं. I feel nation building is a simple concept where you feel that what you're doing is contributing to your nation, just acknowledging that and doing what you're doing from where you are well. So, I still remember when I was back in school, I had a teacher who used to come take a model science की class होती थी. Model science class आपको पता है सब 3 period की तरह उसको treat किया जाता है. Nobody takes it seriously. But this one thing that teacher said, I will never forget that. She said that if everybody in the country does what they're doing with full sincerity and integrity, most of the problems that our country is facing will vanish. That has really stayed with me. And I actually feel that in whatever field you are, whatever career you choose, you don't need to be a bureaucrat or a politician or a reformer or an activist to actually contribute to nation building. What you need to do is from the place you're standing, whether you're an engineer, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a teacher, at whatever place you are, how much dignity and respect do you accord to that position? How much justice do you do to that position? And when the chance comes where there is where there's an opportunity to make quick money, even knowing that might harm somebody, what is the decision that you're taking at that point? My view on this is very, very simple, that जिस भी पोजीशन पद पर आप बैठे हैं, अगर आप पूरी निष्ठा के साथ उसमें काम कर रहे हैं और अपनी जो जिम्मेदारियां आपको दी गई हैं उनको अच्छे से निभा रहे हैं, means you are contributing to nation building. You don't need to pick up and become an activist. You don't need to leave your job and jhola leke march out on the streets. No, I don't subscribe to that. I feel there are youngsters and professionals in this country who have done more for nation building than these so-called activists. So that's like a very, very simple view that I have of this phrase of nation building, that be honest to where you are. Think from wherever you are standing, think of the immediate society around you, think of your state, think of your country. As long as you're doing that and your actions are sort of dictated by that, you're on the path to nation building.
Okay, ma'am. So that is like a whole different view. I'm sure that most of us thought that, the activists are the people who are actually contributing towards nation building. And you said that, the things that we're doing honestly actually contributes to nation building. So there is this belief that, people are who are doing 9-to-5 jobs cannot contribute to nation building. They feel quite alienated towards the idea of nation building also. So what are your views on it? How do you think we can change it?
Okay, so let me give you an example. There is this increase of fake news in this country. I think all of us have been victims to it. At some point, some of us may have even perpetuated fake news unknowingly. It's so hard to distinguish in this age of social media, where it's so hard to verify, misinformation from information. Sometimes we may have actually perpetuated fake news, maybe unknowingly. I feel that if actively in your own society, in your own circle, you're doing something to educate people. I have a friend who she's been a professor. She's a development practitioner. But there's one golden rule that she gave me that I feel changed my perspective towards things. She said that whenever she reads a news piece, she Googles and reads at least 2 more articles about it. So she finds at least 3 sources to verify that information. So she calls it the rule of 3. Now, by doing that and by sharing that with others and having others inculcate it, she is bringing a slow revolution. I mean, this may seem like an exaggeration to you, but trust me, I speak about it on every forum that I get a chance on, especially to young people like you, that, we have to have, it's so tempting and so easy to click and retweet, click and share, especially with platforms like Instagram that are flooded with propaganda. It's so easy. But if you're a student, if you're a professional of any kind, and you see something that triggers you, most often you will see fake news will trigger you. It will be emotive. It will, trigger some kind of emotions in you. It will tug at your heartstrings. Stop yourself for a moment. See if you can find out more about it, verify that information, and then share. That, to me, is you contributing to nation building. Telling yourself, hang on, is it necessary for me to click share? Or is it more wise for me to verify this information so that the 200, 300, 10,000 people, however so many who are following me, don't fall for this just like I did. So I think it doesn't matter what job you're in. Like I said, if you're a teacher and you're teaching to the best of your abilities, you're contributing to nation building. You don't need to go step out and give a dharna or, do some, charity. I think अगर एक टीचर के रूप में आप अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं तो आप अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं. अगर you're a doctor, you may be practicing at a fancy private hospital, but if every month you're doing a few surgeries pro bono, or you get a chance when you see a patient who really can't afford to pay, if you're taking these things on case-to-case basis, I feel you're contributing to nation building because you're doing your part. So I think what we need to focus on is a lot of time we get drowned in bigger things. हमें लगता है कि बहुत बड़ी-बड़ी चीजें करनी पड़ती हैं राष्ट्र निर्माण का भाग बनने के लिए, but actually छोटी छोटी चीजें अगर हम अपनी जिंदगी में करें, they contribute more than any of these bigger things.
Yeah, ma'am. I mean, all these small steps are more important, but you took a very huge step towards nation building, being a woman and breaking all the stereotypes and reaching such a high position. It requires a lot of guts. So, what led you to take this path in life, and how has it been for you?
So I've always been interested in politics. When I was in school, when I was in junior school, I was the head girl of my junior section. And I was, one of those people who would be sort of chosen as class monitors, even though I was one of the most talkative ones in class, because I think I used to be chosen the class monitor just to stop me from talking. So, but there was certain qualities that always sort of drove me towards, politics. My father really wanted me to, get into civil services. But I somehow felt that being a politician, you can have a larger impact. If you have the right intent, if you have the right knowledge, and you get the right opportunities, you can make massive impact. And, politics over the years has changed a lot. I still remember I've always been a debater. And when I was in school, in ninth standard, there was a debate that I had to participate in. And the topic for that debate was, is politics the last refuge for scoundrels? Now, can you imagine? I still remember the entire topic. It was a ninth standard, many, many years back. But that really hit me. My father is a politician too. And I went back home and I asked my father that why is it that people think that only the wrong people come in politics? And, what my father said really sort of had an impact on me. He said that what they're saying is not wrong, because for the longest time in our country, politics has been perceived as a road to luxuries, as a road to, filling your own coffers, working for your own family. But that doesn't mean that all politicians are bad. And in order for the country to see a different image of politicians, which we did post 2014, we today, I feel that with more youngsters coming in, with Prime Minister Modi leading a sort of revolution when it comes to even choosing candidates for different elections, people are slowly understanding that a politician actually has to be a jack of all trades. Being a politician, you have to be able to speak well, you have to be able to comprehend well, you have to be able to empathize with people, even when they may not be empathetic towards you. You need to be available 24 hours. This is not a part-time job. Nobody can be a part-time politician. You're either in it or you're not. So I feel the way politics is perceived needed to change. And I wanted to be part of that change. And I'm glad that I'm living in times where that change is happening. I'm seeing it unfold right in front of me. There are tons and tons of great politicians who are doing a lot to, really change the country and usher in that new India that Modi ji keeps talking about. So politicians have changed, politics has changed. And I feel collectively, we as a society, now speaking as, a youngster and not as a politician, I feel that, our politicians also reflect on are a projection of the society that they represent. I feel as our society matures, the projection of the society, which is the politicians, will also mature. So I'm really hopeful about this. I'm really positive about this. I am an optimist. So I think we're on the right path.
Okay. I would like to request everyone that if you have any question to ask ma'am, please put it down in the chat box. We'll come to that at the end of the event. Okay, so ma'am said that the politics is changing, the views on politics are changing. And, in this, among the youngsters, they are more empathetic towards the environment, and there is a huge shift in ideologies. So do you think it will contribute to a change in nation building, a change in policies?
Can you repeat that question, Vidya? I didn't quite get that.
Okay, so, the youngsters, mostly our generation, we are more inclined, more empathetic towards environment. We want sustainable development, and we are very, very, very empathetic towards environment, that our whole ideology shifted. So is it going to change the way we see nation building, the way the policies are?
No, and that's a fantastic thing. We need to be more empathetic towards the environment now more than we ever needed to be. There was a time when we could cut trees and not think about it because there were enough. But now is the time where, the civil society needs to be more vigilant. If there is a cost to development. You can't deny that. If you need to build an airport, there's going to be a certain number of trees that are going to be felled. But is the government and the concerned authorities, are they doing enough to make sure that similar number of trees are planted elsewhere as is mandated by the law? Let's ensure that as a society, let's ensure that as citizens. That's what we can do. And that's why it's important to be empathetic and sensitive to these issues. So, I feel the society has to act as a watchdog. A vigilant society will also make good politicians because they are going to know that they are accountable. That there has to be a certain amount of transparency, and that transparency is brought about by, tools like the RTI. Even social media to that extent has brought in this revolution that, you can't, there used to be a time when if something did not appear in the newspaper, it never happened. You can't do that anymore. There are videos that go viral. There's news that, comes first on social media and then news portals and channels pick it up. So I feel it's good that youngsters are becoming more empathetic because it will make the government more accountable. It will make the leaders more accountable. It will make the bureaucracy more accountable. But what we also need to do is we need to understand the fine balance that if a far-flung area in the country needs an airport because it will enhance connectivity, it will boost business, then taking a maximalist position and saying that no, we don't need an airport because so many trees are going to be cut down, that may not cut it. We got to find the middle ground that, do we need an airport with 2 runways? Could we do with 1 runway and hence save these many thousand trees? So I think that's the level of maturity that slowly we will come towards, that let's sit on the negotiating table and come up with a way where development can go hand in hand with sustainable, environmental practices.
Okay, ma'am, I was kind of curious. Like, I don't know the actual amount of, youth contributing to nation building. Like, is it enough? Are the youth contributing properly towards nation building, or do we need more youth to come up and contribute towards this cause?
Okay, so there are 2 ways of looking at it. There is a certain rise in vocism, as we say. Traditionally, when you're in your 20s, you tend to be anti-establishment, and you tend to be very rebellious, and you tend to ask more questions, which is how it should be. However, what happens is that it is also a vulnerable age, when you're in your teens through like 25, 26, almost 30. It's also a vulnerable age where you can fall prey to a lot of misinformation, especially when that misinformation is packaged very well. It's all glittery and glossy. There are very smart, good-looking, English-speaking men and women feeding that information to you. It all seems very legit. And somehow there aren't enough sources for you to verify that information, or sometimes you don't even make that effort, like I said, to verify that information. So wokeism is a thing that I've noticed. So I feel I'm too old for Instagram, but to whatever extent I use Instagram, I see it flooded with content, which is absolutely, it's plain propaganda. There's a lot of hatred for the Prime Minister that you see like spilling all over Instagram. There are politically motivated pages which appear as objective, very youth-centric sort of pages. So they'll have 2 posts focused on youth, and the 3rd post is going to be, hang Modi or Modi go away or something like that. So, I feel that we as all of us in this room today, since we are a little more conscious than, say, an average youth, considering that, you chose an organization like Sarkari School and you've been volunteering with them, I think we need to actively talk about this, that the kind of things that are being shared, the kind of things that seem very legit because they are packaged so well, is your truth superior than my truth just because you talk in English or you speak better than I do? That is something that we need to stay away from. And I think that's a danger. Your question was that, is youth contributing enough to nation building? I feel that, I would flip that question and say that, are we giving our youth enough tools? to contributing to the way you were, you want me to answer the question about nation building. So I think that's also upon us. So, some of you, you start an Instagram page and start doing, small videos on issues that you care about. I mean, for God's sake, we have somebody like Dhruv Rathi, who's basically, who basically, I don't even know what degree he has, but he seems to be talking about everything. He makes these videos, which are packaged very well, by the way, and nobody's stopping any of us from making those videos. So why not some of us step up and do that instead of criticizing a Dhruv Rathi? So that's something that I have to say that, like I said, for me, since nation building for me is something very, very personal that everyone can do from their position. Yes, I'd like to believe that the youth is doing enough. But again, like I see all these dangers that are lurking around us. We need to be mindful of those, careful about those, and maybe see that if we can contribute a little bit to busting some of these narratives that are being woven around us.
Speaking of tools, there was this beautiful question that came into my DM right now from Simran. Simran asked me, what would be some of the advice that you would give to someone who wants to follow your path in politics?
Okay. So, well, my advice, one, would be choose a party like the BJP, because here is a party where women are actually given a chance. I mean, for the longest time, the youth wing of the party was mostly seen as men. I mean, even in the Congress, if you look at, the youth Congress composition, you'll see mostly men there. Our former president of the youth wing was a woman. Years back, Uma Bharti ji, she was the president of the BJP youth wing. Ours is a party where we can hope, and I'm sure that's going to be a reality soon, where the national president is going to be a woman. In my party, what I've experienced is that if you're talented and if you're ready to really sort of dive into it, because problem kya hoti hai, a lot of time we women hold ourselves back. And I'm saying this with all responsibility, because politics is a very demanding profession. Like I said, you need to be a jack of sort of all trades. And that takes a toll on your personal life. That will take a toll on, even your professional life. So you have to be able to balance all that. But if you're able to balance all that, there is no doubt of opportunity. So if one of you, Simran, I think I heard the name right? Simran, yes. If you feel you want to be part of BJYM, or if you want to venture into politics, whatever party you choose, I would request you to choose my party. But I'd love to, be a mentor to you and help you out in that process.
Okay, ma'am. So,
hang on, Vidya. Sorry, I think my answer is incomplete. But I think what's more important, and I think what Simran wanted to ask was that how do you go about it? So, like, I feel in politics, you will see different kinds of professionals in politics. You will have lawyers, you have doctors, you have people like me who come from development. So, and in politics today, you need to be more than a politician. Like whenever I introduce myself professionally, plus, that I'm a politician. In fact, sometimes if you say that you're a politician, people will ask a follow-up question. Oh, but what do you do? So, choose a profession that helps you. I've seen a lot of lawyers who make fantastic politicians. Some of the greatest politicians in our country have been lawyers. So choose a career that gets you more attuned to policy. Try and understand policy making. If you're interested in that, there are various internships and fellowships available today that can help you sort of experience that. And I think Abhishek also has been Abhishek, you've been a Nehru fellowship person. I can't remember, right? But Gandhi Fellowship. Sorry, mere Nehru ji ka naam kyun yaad aaya mujhe? Gandhi Fellowship. There are a lot of these fellowships that give you an idea of development, an idea of how this country actually functions. So it's a great way to try this out. So try some of these. There's Tatas have a lot of programs that let you experience development and policy. So explore all of these and then see if this is your calling.
Okay, ma'am, you said that politics actually takes a toll on your personal life, and there is this misconception that if you are into politics, you can't lead a peaceful life. So, what is something that we can do to change this?
Well, depends on what peaceful life means for you. So, like, so for instance, somebody like me doesn't get bothered if somebody calls me at 2 a.m. and says I need help, and I'm okay with that. And I to a certain extent, if I want to become a leader, and if I really want to serve the society, I need to be okay with that also. Uh, like, I'm not a person who needs a weekend to rejuvenate. Hence, I feel I am the right person to be in this profession. So I think peace is so subjective that, some people get peace in 5 days of working and 2 days of partying on weekends. Others don't need that. They get peace, when they are drop dead tired and they can just sort of go to sleep at night. So I think peace is such a subjective thing. What you need to definitely do is strike a balance where you know that you're doing justice to your family, um, as much as you're doing to your profession. I think that's the only thing that's required.
Okay, ma'am, in the beginning of this session, I told that are the leaders of tomorrow. But what are your views on this? Is it right? Like, are they the leaders of tomorrow, or are they the leaders of right now, the present?
I feel they're the leaders of today. There is nothing like, they used to say that, like you said, youth are the leaders tomorrow, and, we need to groom them. I feel that we're at a place where youth is leading the country today. Some of the, there are so many CEOs in this country right now who are under 40 years of age. There are, the chief minister of my state of Uttarakhand is 45 years old. We still have, leaders in our country and who at the age of 50 plus are still considered youth leaders. So no, youth is leading the country today. You all are part of that change. So I think the time is now. If you're interested in policy, there are tons of opportunities. Government has even started lateral entry into different ministries. Like, I worked as a consultant, as an advisor in the Ministry of Petroleum, and I was able to influence policy because the government of today uh, celebrates talent. They want smart people to be part of policy making, of part of part of nation building. So the government is open to this. There are opportunities that are opening up every day. Recently, I saw this. I can't remember the name, and I'm sure Abhishek will remember. एक program launch किया था young writers के लिए Prime Minister Modi ने. So here was a chance for young writers to learn from the best. There's a whole panel, there's a whole cohort of some of the most brilliant writers in the country who are going to teach them and hone their skills. Those are the kind of opportunities that were never available to the youth prior to this. So I think you guys are, at that cusp in India's history where there are so many opportunities, and the demographic dividend that we kept reading about in our school books. India is right now, at that point where we are reaping that demographic dividend. Unfortunately, COVID may have thrown us a little off track, but like I said, I'm an optimist. And yes, somebody said Yuva scheme. That was the scheme that I was talking about. So I feel we're headed in the right way. I would urge all of you to explore some of these opportunities that I mentioned. And if you're interested in policy, there are a number of private organizations. There's Vision India Foundation, there's the Indian School of Democracy. All of these institutions are offering courses on leadership in policy. So check these out if you want to, and become the politicians of today, tomorrow. I'd love to see some of you in Parliament someday.
There are many opportunities available out there for all of us. Speaking of opportunities, what could be some of the challenges that the youth is facing in nation building?
I think there is still a rural-urban divide. Even though with Digital India, there's a lot of change that has happened. And I think rural India is more connected than ever to what is happening in the metros, what's happening in Delhi or the state capitals. But I think more needs to be done in terms of bridging that rural-urban divide. I want to see more people from rural Uttarakhand, rural Bihar, rural UP studying in in colleges of Delhi University, or going to IITs, or going to, or even taking offbeat career choices, which we have the luxury of taking because we are in the cities and we know of these opportunities. We can take those risks. So unless we bridge that divide, I think that's a huge challenge that, especially for the brilliant youth that we have in the rural areas. I mean, recently in the Olympics, you saw that all of our gold medalists and most of our Olympic medal winners come from rural India. So somebody gave them that opportunity and actually showed us that real talent lies in rural India. So I think that's a major challenge that we still sort of are battling. That how do we make sure that all of these opportunities are as much available to youth across rural India as it is as they're available to the city folks.
Ma'am, what would be your word of advice and your word of encouragement towards the youth, especially towards the volunteers of Sarkari school?
Okay, Vidya, is that the last question? Because it's getting dark.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah. Okay. So you said my word of advice. My word of advice is by choosing an organization like Sarkari School, you have already shown that you are sensitive towards a cause. You have chosen a cause. I think what's important is to identify something that affects you and take it upon yourself that I will do something to impact whatever small change I can in my limited capacity. So it already shows that you are superior to your peers, for lack of a better word. Uh, uh, Take some time to explore more, read more, and experience more. I feel internships are an excellent way of sort of expanding your horizons. Travel, you can travel for leisure, but today there are a lot of non-profit organizations, a lot of institutions that allow you to travel for work, especially development work. Take some of those opportunities because it will really blow your mind the kind of diverse culture that this country has to offer. At the first time I went to Gadchiroli, which is an Naxal affected area of Maharashtra, I was so surprised to see that the tribal society there is so much more open than our societies and cities can ever be. The men and women, when they attain a certain age, they are allowed to stay at sort of a community hostel together. And then at whatever point they see fit, they're allowed to marry each other. They don't even need to take the consent of their parents. If it doesn't work out, they can go their own way. So can you imagine something like that happening in our cities? It shows that diversity that exists within our own society that we are unaware of. So explore, take some of these opportunities, do some of these fellowships, understand India, and then see where your heart lies, whether it is education that you want to work on, whether it's clean energy, health. There are so many things that still need to be done. So, take your pick.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Abhishek sir, would you like to say something?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think कुछ questions भी हैं. Vidya, maybe you can take it. If possible.
Yes,
Neha ji.
Neha,
एक दो question.
एक question ले लें Abhishek.
Rehan का question है.
Let's take maybe one last question.
Yes. Rehan, can you just unmute yourself? और अपना introduction भी देना आप.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am, for interacting with us. It has been a really inspiring and informative session right now. I also wish health for your relative who's here. Ma'am, my question to you was basically that we have necessarily talked about as to how as youth we could contribute towards nation building. But as you have rightly pointed out, this is definitely a vulnerable age, and there can be a lot of ditches that surround us, and we can, I'm forgetting the word, can get into, we can inevitably go into those. Yes, yeah. Definitely, that's the word. Can get one of those. So what will be your advice in order to protect ourselves and make sure that we are on the right path? In essence, what should we not do so that we may harm the prospect of ourselves as well as that of the nation?
Excellent question, Rehan, and thank you so much for your good wishes. Like I said, make it a point that you verify information that you share. Also, I think when I was your age, we used to have these groups, and I'm really trying in my own limited capacity to sort of rejuvenate that idea, where some of us get together every few weeks and we create a platform where we can just discuss issues. We have very, very different opinions about things, but at least when you discuss, different perspectives come out. Also, you sometimes get to realize that your perspective was shaped by only subscribing to a certain kind of literature, because you either did not have access to the conflicting worldview, or somehow the environment around you forced you to have those blinkers on. So whichever way, I think we need to be we need to, even in terms of being students or being in public life, we need to surround ourselves with a diverse group of people, so that blinkers wala situation never comes. So like I make sure that even if it's Twitter, Facebook, wherever, I follow people who may not necessarily subscribe to my ideology, because even enable to bust some of their propaganda and narratives, I would first need to know how and what they're thinking. So I think just open your mind, broaden your horizons. That's what you need to do. That would be just my humble advice.
Definitely, ma'am. Thank you so much. I personally have made it a point to always look into a sort of an opinion that necessarily doesn't match my own. That's why I have a broad perspective.
That's a very, very healthy habit. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining it. It is a really inspiring session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rehan. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Neha ji, for coming and just joining on this occasion of International Youth Day. Just I'm sharing.
Oh, and wish everyone a very happy International Youth Day. Somehow in all of this, I totally forgot.
So in last 2 years, we tried to engage approx 800 plus youth all across this country. And I'm really saying, with a कहते दिल से बोल रहा हूँ कि I'm really feeling, grateful to each and everyone, and they all are doing wonders. I just want to share 2 things with you. The first thing is almost 90% plus volunteers are from the private school background. But after completion of their internship or after completion of their volunteership, they always used to say, yes, now I am a true friend of government school. So that is the way we are trying to shift the mindset. Fantastic. And we are just creating a fan. I'm not saying fan, but I'm saying we are creating lots of friends of government school who will definitely support the government school system in long run. The second thing is, I can say proudly this platform is giving youth a chance to explore himself or herself and also learn something new here. I can say proudly here, almost 80% plus volunteers are freshers. We always used to hire freshers. And हमें बहुत अच्छा लगता है कि उनके CV में पहला नाम जो होता है वो सरकारी स्कूल का
सरकारी स्कूल
और इस काम को करने के लिए और स्पेशली Tier 2, Tier 3 सिटीज से खास करके जो हमारी बेटियां हैं वो उनको ये प्लेटफॉर्म बहुत प्राउडली मैं बहुत शेयर करना चाहता हूँ विद्या रिया एंड all the volunteers here. So that is how we are trying to contribute in nation building.
So and I'd love to invite all of you to Uttarakhand. कभी आप सब आएं और explore our state. And we can organize a workshop where we share some of these learnings. There are a lot of very enthusiastic youngsters in Uttarakhand, so it would be lovely to have you all over. So Abhishek, let's plan that too.
Sure.
So, thank you so much, everyone, and apologies for this technological challenge that we saw today. Chaliye, dhanyawad.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye. Dhanyawad.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vidya and Riya.